Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check brought to you by BB. There is no second best live YouTube stream to talk about markets. Welcome back, guys. We are in the middle of September, but more importantly, we are coming out of a week full of macro data, and we just cannot wait to to hear from Jackus's profile picture, right? Big Jerome Powell. Is he going to be a turd in the punch bowl or later this week, or is he going to be accommodating and cut rates? But just enough to not spook the market, right? He kind of has to walk a thin line. We're going to talk about it on today's show, but I hope everybody has had a great weekend, a great start to the week. We're going to do our best to to get y'all's week started off on the right foot. But I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy, joined by Chef Jackus, Max, and of course, Big Louie. Welcome to you guys. Hope we've had a great weekend. But, as far as what we're seeing from the market, before we can dive too deep into that, because I do think there are, some notable things that we can discuss on today's show, certainly. I'm going to ask if you guys can smash that like button for us. Yes, exactly. Up and to the right. Like the stream, guys. Like the stream. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. You can get updated not just when we go live on Market Check, but of course also when we release our videos throughout the week. We do a lot of analysis on YouTube, but let's get into the meat of the market. I don't want to dwell on the like button too much to start this show, although maybe we circle back to that in about like half an hour, who knows. But yeah, in regards to what the market's doing, obviously crypto's kind of selling off. Equities are green. I mean, stop me if you've heard this one before. It's a very frustrating thing that we that we continue to see out of these markets, where Bitcoin's really only down like 0.5%, but we are seeing kind of a Bitcoin dominance week. Not completely surprising, given that we have the Fed on Wednesday. Often do see general de-risking, hedging into these events. I think the important thing is kind of going to be more so where we head out of Wednesday, right? Like, how are we trading? Is this just, one of those weeks where we sell off into FOMC and then pump after? Is this going to be a week where we just kind of de-risk throughout the entire week and then bottom at the end of it? Does Powell's speech even matter this week, right? Because I think the market is pretty clearly expecting a 25 basis point rate cut, just based on the odds that I was looking at. Could you debate that we could go 50? Sure. But right now, all signs point to 25 basis points from Powell. Right now, equity markets are green. One thing that I did notice that I thought was pretty curious was that the VIX is also getting bid with equities, which again is not totally surprising that we see this demand for hedging heading into a binary event, right? We see this all the time across markets. So I'll continue to be very bullish and optimistic about Q4. We still have 2 weeks until we get there, but I'd love to know what you guys are thinking about the markets, what we're thinking about FOMC this week. Do we think Powell has any surprises in store for us? And how do we think the market's going to trade into and out of it?
Probably whack.
I mean, it's tough to even think about FOMC when the cycle top is in, and that's the truth. There won't just be one more sweep of the lows, like his profile picture is alluding to. There will be multiple sweeps of many, many, many lows.
And many highs.
No more sweeps of the highs. That's over. It's done.
They are so cute when they fight.
They are so cute when they nuke us to new lows, Well, joking aside, although I'm not joking, is, we are seeing some pretty solid strength out of U.S. equity markets, which is good. And I also would say my rule of thumb for FOMC weeks is you typically don't want to trust the pre-FOMC positioning, whether it's 48 hours out, whether it's 24 hours out, whether it's 60 minutes out. You typically do not want to die on the hill of pre-FOMC positioning. So I don't mind the potential setup for hedging, selling, de-risking into FOMC, although I think we most likely already know the outcome, which is going to be a 25 basis point cut. And then Powell just probably being a lawyer about it, which he usually is. But yeah, I mean, I'm not too concerned, right? I'd say I'm encouraged to see some volatility coming back. I mean, the price action we saw late last week and I guess Friday after the New York close was fun to see, right? Some active positioning, and now we're seeing that kind of unwind here. But again, I don't think you're going to retire yourself or really do yourself any favors by positioning with conviction strongly pre-FOMC. So we'll see what happens with equities here. Maybe crypto's kind of getting out in front of an equities de-risking event as we get closer to FOMC. But I still see mid to high time frame structural shifts in crypto despite these little pullbacks. I think this Doge sell-off is really more a result of, buy the rumor of the ETF, sell the news. Where have we seen that before with ETFs, right? Think about what Bitcoin did. Pumped into the ETF, sold off, a little bit, and then actually had a monster rally like a few weeks later. So I'm really not too worried about it. Like I kind of don't feel anything anymore because this market's been a scam for a long time. If you're not used to it by now, I'm sorry, but it's just kind of more of the same, right? It's, I would say, positioning without a lot of follow through. But I think that can change pretty quickly. So I'm, a weekend sell off, Monday sell off with FOMC in 2 days. I'm not too worried about it. I think we're all going to be all right. So.
Yeah, I hate FOMC weeks. They just suck.
They do suck.
They just suck. You got to sit around Monday and Tuesday knowing that Wednesday's going to come around and it's all going to get screwed up anyways on the price action. You see, it's going to be all over the place. You get a lot of low T, beta style, delta neutral hedging. They'll never get me. I win either way. It's just a sad state of affairs. So I'm never a happy camper on FOMC week. I don't expect any surprises out of the Fed, though. That's not really their characteristics that they've been showing for the last 3 years. They really haven't surprised the markets at all. They've been pretty straightforward. So I don't expect any surprises out of them. I do expect a rate cut. And we're already kind of seeing that getting, you have the Russell kind of edging a breakout here, approaching all-time highs. And I think once we do get that rate cut, I guess they're just waiting for confirmation. I'm surprised it's not already getting priced in even more, to be honest. And we should start to see the higher risk beta assets running, which is crypto, right? So low cap stocks, crypto, it should be, those assets time to shine. Going into the next couple months, especially entering a rate cutting cycle. So, yep, just probably got to get through the next, 2.5, 3 days of annoying price action. And then we come out the other end of it. And hopefully by Wednesday night, Thursday morning, we have a good general idea of where we're headed. But I think is to the upside, just probably a couple more days of annoying price action until then.
Chef.
Hey, what's up?
Tell me about the cycle top, would you?
Will we never bump again?
Is that your opinion or is that a question?
It's a question.
Oh, without any doubt.
All right. Where are my Lambos?
Yeah, you're going to be riding a bicycle. There's no Lambos. Well, there is something clearly going on with equities. Obviously, I feel like we talk every single week about the Russell specifically, and it's because of what it means for altcoins, right? Like the Russell breaking off into price discovery historically ignites an altcoin rally, kind of big one. And we are like an arm's length away from breaching through into price discovery I don't think that the NASDAQ and SPX could really look much better than they do right now. The only thing that's throwing me off a little bit is that we are seeing some outsized crypto downside early in the week. We know that sometimes equities and crypto will diverge a little bit. But Louis, what do you make of the strength in U.S. equity markets that we're seeing right now that are kind of contradicting what we're seeing with crypto?
I mean, it's kind of been like this the entire cycle, right? Other than Bitcoin and more recently ETH, we've seen extreme strength out of equity markets, and we just haven't really seen it correlate into the altcoin market just yet. But to be fair, like, you mentioned the Russell. The Russell's also, not in price discovery yet, still under, the 2021 all-time high. So that's pretty much indicative of where the crypto market's at as well, right? At least altcoins, where the high risk stuff really hasn't had its time to shine, right? We've seen some glimmers. But yeah, I mean, I really do think we have, another probably 6-8 months to a year worth of bull market left. I would think at some point you'll see a slowdown in the S&P and the NASDAQ and more of that capital flow into stuff like the Russell and low caps. But, I could be wrong. But I will say, some, like, looking at the S&P here, I do like this separation from this kind of cluster here we've been putting in for the last couple months. Was looking a little heavier, right? Slowing down, kind of looks like it was rolling here. Starting to gap away and separate from that. So I think that's good, right? Because as long as equities are running, the musical chairs, the music's still playing, right? But I think ultimately, we should see a slowdown at some point, maybe a distribution, whatever that may be, and then capital rotation into lower cap stocks. But maybe we have some more time for the high caps and the large indices to run first.
Do you guys think that SPX will top at 6,666?
I thought about that.
I think 6,900 is not going to be a meme. I mean, if you just pull a simple fib, SPX 6,900 might be a real thing. And not just a meme. I mean, we have a ways to go, obviously. I mean, it's not much, only 5-6% for the S&P to hit 6,900. I mean, I would say this is a pretty reasonable target for the S&P, after pulling this V-shaped recovery, all-time high breakout. Your measured target move is sitting around $6,900, $7,000 for the S&P, so.
I kind of think that BTC is sort of front running equities. I think there's bound, well, not bound, but a decent chance for equities to reset a little, not something crazy. And when that happens, I think BTC will be finally free to go to the upside, leave the crab, and trend again.
You don't like these micro ranges, Jackus, on Bitcoin? Bitcoin volatility is almost at like historical lows.
Not almost. The monthly volatility is at historical lows.
It's getting some bid today.
Yeah, but monthly volatility is at historical lows. So I'm enjoying the crab very much. I have embraced it, and they are so cute when they fight. Snip, snap.
I'm kind of sick of the crab. Unfortunately, if you don't make it, or if you don't hit every micro move during FOMC week, you're just not going to make it, guys. Just not going to make it. But no, I am sick of the crab. I will say I think we're getting close to more volatility in the market, whether that's downside volatility in the second half of September, upside volatility in Q4, or both. realistically, I don't think this market can continue to kind of just like chop solidate and stagnate for much longer, just given kind of the positioning that we've built up, not just in equities, but also in crypto. I made a note of it in my intro. I am taking note of it. The fact that we are seeing the VIX get bid up while equities also bid up this morning. I mean, it's kind of not totally surprising that we see a demand for hedges before FOMC, but I do think that maybe we do take the stroll on the VIX, right? That we were kind of joking about last week or the week before that. I can't quite remember, but you know, I guess we'll just have to see. I don't think the VIX looks horrible. But equities are strong, right? And Louis pointed it out. You know, we've been kind of like vertically accumulating on the S&P for a while. We could just be about to see that volatility occur to the upside, but I do think some of that is going to depend on Powell being very lenient, right? No surprises, probably a dovish guidance. I'm sure the market would love that. I have no idea what to expect on FOMC. As I said last week, I think being able to predict what the Fed is going to be able to do has been very difficult over the last few months.
Well, my expectations going into it is that we will get the 25% basis point cut. I don't think there will be surprises. Then he is going to come up with the red tie and say that the cycle top is in and we will never pump again. No, but
Can you imagine if
seriously,
Powell came out and just said, you know, listen, we're still committed to our long-term target of 2%. And while I have your attention, the crypto cycle top is in. Just walk off the stage. Thank you.
I would just sell
I
everything.
honestly think that we would sell off on it like a lot the first hour. And
No
we
shit.
we would start pumping, but we would start pumping right after.
And he goes, listen, I've been following this 50R Euro scalper named Jackus, and yeah, cycle top is in. That's it.
So
I mean, I can see a scenario where the S&P and like high cap indices like enter a blow off relatively soon, and then they enter a crab, and then we have the fun. One can dream.
no, I think they're gonna, you know, address it, that they are seeing, you know, the labor market weakening, and that's the reason why they decided to cut, and that they will do it probably gradually going, you know, and obviously they'll say we are data dependent, blah blah blah, you know, not push it too much, but sort of hint that they will start cutting through the next year, which is what's likely going to happen. And then the market is probably going to sell a bit, maybe based on the news, but longer term, that's a very bullish thing, actually. You know, I think there's lots of people who think that rate cuts are bearish, especially when they look at 2008 or .com, or maybe even late stage of COVID. But that's not really it, and it's a misunderstanding of what they are and how they happen, in my opinion. And so it depends on what they are based on, and obviously in what fashion. And so I would say that if Powell came in and, you know, we're like, oh, we are in a big trouble and we need to do this very quick cut of 50 or even more percent basis points, then that would be bad. But the fact that he's just going to say, you know, we are seeing a slowdown, but nothing too crazy, and we are deciding to act, and it's going to be gradual, then in that sense it's what we discussed. But it's just, again, it's my thesis that I've been saying for the past year or some, that this cycle is higher for longer, and that means that it's going to take longer time, but we are going to continue grinding higher. And that's the tough part. You know, it's not like a straight up, but it's also not a cycle top, despite we joke about it a lot.
Oh yeah, no, of course we're joking. Yeah, no, we're not. We're not serious. I've been totally joking with you guys the whole time. I would never be serious about that. MSTR looks really good here too. So
we won't talk about that. It's kind of like MicroStrategy is that meme right now. You know, You know, the one where the guy has like the ripped 6-pack of abs and the ladies are checking it out. And then you see like, it's a Simpsons meme and you see his back like pinching all the fat behind him.
Yeah.
Like MSTR is the fat behind the ripped guy right now.
That was perfect. But no, seriously, it looks like shit. It does.
It does.
It looks like shit. Dog shit wrapped in cat shit, wrapped in dog shit again, and maybe some horse shit. It looks bad in my view, honestly.
It's a
But
cycle.
It's bad.
I still am kind of expecting a Q4 rally. I think they'll bring it back to life. I think that they may resuscitate it. But I mean, dude,
What
they
are we
bought more
referring to
Bitcoin over the weekend. Like, what'd they
Talking
buy? They
about
bought
MicroStrategy?
like it was like the smallest purchase I've seen from them in a long time. Like, they're simply out of ammo to shove more Bitcoin here. Like, they can't buy as much Bitcoin as they need without just nuking their stock. Like, I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I honestly could see a rally up to 500 from here. I could. And I think Bitcoin will go on to make a new high. But yeah, I really just do not think this chart is going to do much. I mean, that's a big move, right? Like, because here's the thing. People will come on here and they will troll me and be like, you were so bearish MSTR. Like, it just rallied like 60% in Q4. And I'll be like, yeah, but did it make a new all-time high? And the answer will be no, it didn't. I'm open to a sweep or something like that. But yeah, I hate this chart, man. I hate how this chart looks. I've been saying that, by the way, that is not a new opinion. I've been saying that for a couple months now.
Yeah.
I still think that MSTR will trade at thousands in next year.
Chef, do you want to bet a steak dinner?
Why not?
I'll hop in on that. Shoot.
All right. So, Chef, is it official? Are we gonna make a little wager here? Because I'm about to lose my bet to Tommy, unfortunately. So I'm gonna be down a steak dinner. I need to get my money back.
But what if you're going to be buying 2 steak dinners?
Future steak dinners.
If I'm down 2 steak dinners, that's gonna be a big problem for me.
Maybe Louis, you need to bet too.
Jackus, I would bet you that MSTR does not make a new all-time high before, like, let's just say end of Q1. Is that fair? End of March.
It just has to make a new all-time high.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I really am open to a sweep. That's the problem. So I feel like we need to pick a number that's like, let's just say like 650 or something. Because I think it could sweep that high. I just don't think it's going to make like an actual new all-time high.
But let's do 650 by Q2, by end of Q2 26.
That's a lot of time, Jackus.
Exactly. But it's a 650. It's a 650. It's not a sweep.
All right, that's fine. I'll do it. 650. Will not go above 650 by end of Q2.
26.
26. Yeah.
I like Jackus's odds on that.
He's cooked. Just like my steak. Medium rare. Tommy, what do you think of that bet?
I think you're gonna win, Max.
That's free money for me, isn't it?
I'll enjoy that steak.
Oh.
Let me be clear. I think it's gonna make a new local high. I think you are going to pump in Q4. But I do not think you are going to actually rip from here.
I mean, at the crux of the bet, you know, Bitcoin's got to find. I hate to make this comment, right? Because it's like, I don't like to view the market like, okay, who's going to be the next marginal buyer? Because markets will always tend to find one in an uptrend. And Bitcoin, I think, over the course of this cycle has been a great example of that. What I do think, though, at the moment is that supply seems to be a heavier hand than buying. Maybe that changes when we get to October. just from general releveraging, right? I've been saying if equities are going to be trading above kind of like those January, February highs, those pre-tariff tantrum highs, we're probably going to melt up. There's just going to be a big releveraging effect. People are going to have a lot of margin to play with into Q4. And I just think markets will go much higher. And if that's the case, sure, Bitcoin is likely going to partake in those same or benefit from those same dynamics. But I do think right now, I think it's pretty clearly supply is the heavier hand than demand. And MicroStrategy kind of needs somebody to buy Bitcoin, because it's like Max was kind of pointing out, they have to sell their common stock if they want to buy Bitcoin. And since they have been the marginal buyer for pretty much the entire cycle, the plunge protection, the fact that Bitcoin continues to drop while their buys continue to get smaller, to me is pretty concerning.
I think
Well
lots
said,
of people
Tommy.
mistakenly think that BTC and MicroStrategy has just undergo, November 21. And if you're gonna look at the charts, it will look similar. I say not same. And but they misunderstand where we are in the cycle, in my opinion, due to the time it's taking, and it's the whole cycle is taking much longer. So I do think that we are yet to see a real mania with BTC, with MicroStrategy, and I would say with the whole space.
I don't know. I think, Jackus, you think Bitcoin dominance is topped here?
Could be. I'm a lot bullish on ETH, like in terms of percentage, but that doesn't make me bearish Bitcoin. And I think
We could definitely see it bounce.
And I'm not bearish Bitcoin, right? I'm just like, there's a few things that I'm not inspired by. It's the Bitcoin NASDAQ pair looks questionable. I'm kind of neutral on it. I think Bitcoin dominance is topped. And then when you chart MSTR against Bitcoin or against ETH or against alts in general, it just seems like it's pretty clear that like there's going to be a major focus on Ethereum and altcoins for the remainder of this cycle, however long that may be. And here's the thing is you will be right if Bitcoin goes to like 200K this cycle.
And that's what I think happens.
If that happens, MSTR is going to get dragged up really hard, right?
Yeah.
As long as they maybe just don't keep smashing buys and they just kind of let it ride, which I don't know if they're going to do, then I think you're going to be right. But I
think there are two scenarios here, honestly. Either the cycle top is truly in already, and in that case, you're not getting those pumps that you wish for, and we will know relatively soon. Or the other, we are going much higher both percentage and time wise. Like there is not in my opinion, there is no in between in which we like pump to like 140 and in the next 3 months and that's it. No, it's either we're already printed it and this was it, or much higher percentage and time wise. And obviously I'm in that camp, but I could be wrong. And I do have invalidation, obviously, on that. But as of now, I will play the trend.
Yeah, I think my view on Bitcoin dominance is that we could definitely see a stab back up if it doesn't continue to break down. I mean, that's kind of an obvious statement on the surface, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was looking at ETH Bitcoin over the weekend. I kind of think you could see a retracement on that pair to backfill some of this, very impulsive summer move that ETH put in. But I actually think it was Mr. Spread who posed the this on X to me, like a lot of similarities with the BTC in 2020. I just think there are so many signs that point towards an extended cycle for for crypto. But I do think locally speaking, we have some headwinds that the market's dealing with, and I just want to see how we're trading at the beginning of Q4. That to me is really like the biggest question that I need to see answered, because then I'm going to feel really confident predicting where this market's going to go at the end of the day. But yeah, I agree with a lot of the thoughts that you guys have already presented.
When I look at QQQ specifically, it's really hard for me to be bearish anything right now. Like, this chart is just absolutely sending, man. Like, I'm hoping and praying we don't see some FOMC scams, because it looks like we are really breaking away here in a serious way. And you might be entering that kind of mechanical walk up where you just kind of see like vol get crushed week after week after week, and you just see equities enter this kind of tight channel, right? Just a really, really tight channel. But it's like, here's the thing, is we're talking about maybe Bitcoin and crypto are leading equities with like a sell-off, and that's always possible. But I look at this chart and I'm like, man, it looks like we just finished like a local reaccumulation and we're just ripping higher now.
Yep.
And I'm fully expecting some degree of a scam just because of FOMC. Like, that will likely happen. You will see somebody get carted out. But
locally,
like ultra locally, because if you look at that local, like even zoom in more, Louis, maybe like 4 hours, 6 hours, something like that. To me, that looks like we just finished a cool off.
Yeah.
And we're just ripping, Like, I can't say enough good things about this chart. So my hope is that it's actually not Bitcoin-led equities. It's that this is a bullshit little, Monday sell-off on a puny little asset class that's been a meat grinder for a long time. And we're about to see just absolute bull mania kick off second half of Q3 leading into Q4, seasonally the most bullish time of the year. But again, I also have been the guy that's been saying seasonality's just been a mega fade, which it has been. But it's just another thing to use as confluence, where you say, like, sometimes seasonality works, sometimes it doesn't, and that's the truth. It shouldn't be something that you completely dismiss. Keep it back of mind. But I care more about the structure than I do like the calendar date, I do. Because this thing just looks ready for, it looks like it's going to go to 620 in like 3 weeks. It looks like it's about to go vertical.
It's kind of following gold here.
And Louis, if you were to pull up the meat stick meter on QQQ, dude, it's screaming, Louis. It's screaming. Screaming. Like, dude, you'll see the scores pop up, bro, every single time frame on the meat stick meter. It's screaming at you, man. Like, every single time frame is like green. Just screaming green,
This is textbook consolidation before continuation. You see it in the colors too, right? Pause, bang, just hit a green dot on the daily. Candlesticks.
Can you do me a favor and turn your candle borders off, Louis? Like, double click on your chart candles.
You don't like it. I'm not a fan. I'll do it for you, man.
Come on,
only for
Louis.
you. I'll do it for you.
Come on. Thanks, Louis. See, then the audience can see it more clearly.
Yeah. So yeah,
the meat clear screaming.
Yeah, all time frames screaming green. You had the pause. You went from yellow to red, now flipping back to green. Healthy, consolidation, rising accumulation here, pretty much. Nice ascending pennant. Yeah, it's bullish, and one of the analysts I follow, he's claiming that kind of a lot of these equities are following gold, believe it or not. And it kind of looks like they are, right? Kind of looks like they are. We had gold breaking out first week of September, right after pausing, reaccumulating for a couple months, breaking out, and now you're seeing QQQ, S&P, Nasdaq all starting to separate kind of from these month-long clusters they've been putting in, pauses, consolidations. Gold seems to be leading the way in some shape, way, or form. So it's very interesting seeing gold lead the market.
I have a thesis on that. First of all, I think gold is going to be locally topped at 3,700 to 3,850 for the next year.
I agree.
For the next year. And second, it's very important to differentiate even in QQQ or SPX, the top 7 stocks that are overweight by market cap in those indexes. And perhaps there's a fundamental shift happening right now in the world in the way people view risk, actually, because we saw national yield, long-term yield curves going up by a lot. And what's happening is that people actually believe corporations more than they believe the future of the states. Especially talking about France, Great Britain, Japan, and even US, although I think US will manage due to the emergence of stablecoins and digital assets, but that's another story. But what I'm trying to say is that gold is definitely a risk of asset. It's behaving like it. But there's also the top 10 companies in SPX that people persevere as risk of assets. When you think of Nvidia, Google, Meta, Apple nowadays, you view them so profound. You view them as this is a company that's going to be here in the next, probably 30 years. And if I'm to bet my money or put my money into something risk of, right? Some people don't want to hold gold because it doesn't obviously produce anything. And so they will rather, instead of having a bond, long-term bond on a nation that keeps on, debasing its own currency, and it's not going to get any better with an aging population and slowing birth rates, right, around the globe. So people will look at it and be like, yeah, I think my money will do better in SPX or Nasdaq. And so, and as I said, most of the index is currently driven by those top 10 companies that are overweight. And so there is an entirely different chart where you're going to pull up and I discussed this many times over, where you're going to pull up the SPX 500 versus the SPX 493, right? It's totally different charts. And so it makes sense. So with all of this, I'm going back to the fact that it kind of makes sense that that SPX and Nasdaq could correlate to some degree, but I think it would be more suitable to do a SPX top 10 and gold, perhaps. Although obviously, they are still corporations, and gold is gold.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And I kind of agree with your kind of thinking that gold's going to be locally topped around here. I kind of am feeling that way as well. And that kind of also matches up with what I was just mentioning earlier with, this kind of move we're seeing out of equities, out of gold, could be like that, that blow off breakaway kind of topping situation where that ultimately ends up leading to distribution and money trickling down the risk curve. I think that makes a lot of sense, right? And if we do see gold top around here, put in a local top, distribute, equities probably going to follow a little, see some follow through on these breakouts, put in some nice moves, start reaccumulate, distributing, ranging, whether that leads to a top or whether that leads to another leg higher, depending on how this rally lasts. But I think during this kind of time period, is where we see, a lot of money flow into like low caps and crypto. So that's why I think we're very close. Right? That's why I think we're very close. So, but yeah, I would agree. I think gold's probably getting close to some sort of top. I don't think this is going to continue to rally straight up for like another 3 to 6 months.
By the way, one of the interesting facts is, when I was discussing the national long-term government bonds, is that nearly 80 companies have lower yields than the French government bonds does right now. It's a record, and it's even bigger than during 2008. And what it means is that people believe more in the longevity of those companies versus French state, which is crazy.
I did read over the weekend that France is going through some, I don't really know quite what you'd call them, right? Some like early warning signs regarding their debt. I don't know if you guys have read anything about that, but I did.
Oh, yeah.
I did think that was kind of interesting.
No, it
makes sense that people are pivoting to gold. We're just going to see decreasing trust in fiat as time goes on.
Well, you have it's simple math. You have a very aging populations. Your country is running on socialism, and you are paying your seniors with a new debt. And from taxes, obviously, by taxing everyone, and then from new debt. And so everyone can, and you do not have any new, you have a low birth rate, so you try to import, new people from Africa and so forth, but they are not really working as much. And so what is happening is that there is not going to be new money to be paying everyone. And so they will have to issue new debt to pay for the old debt. And that's going to create further currency devaluation, or, it's going to not make, it's rather not going to make the lenders believe the French state that it can repay its own debt, rather, put that way. So
Yeah,
that's
the two choices are. Wait, sorry, Jack is finished.
Yeah, just to finish, that's obviously not going to that's going to make the yield go up, right? Because there is a risk associated. Like people forget this, but the Greece government bonds were trading around 30%, right? Who wouldn't want to have 30% APY, right? But nobody believed the Greece ability to pay its own debt, right? That's why it was so high. And so it's okay if the yield is going up, if the interest rates are. But the thing is that interest rates are down, but the yield is rising because simply the institutions don't believe. They don't believe. It's not just France, it's Great Britain, and it's Japan, and it's been US too. I think US will do well due to its integration with stablecoins and digital assets in the end. But an export of the dollars through stablecoins, but it's still nonetheless big issue around the Western world.
Yeah, it seems like the inevitable. The inevitable reality is either going to be that austerity has to be practiced willingly, or, I think every doomer is always asked, like, all right, well, you're going to have to practice austerity eventually. And we keep seeing them get more and more talented at kicking the can down the road. I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but yeah, just kind of outlining that scenario. I forgot who put it in the comments maybe a few minutes ago, but there's like, okay, well, bullish on gold for currency inflation, and probably over a high time frame bullish on gold in case of deflation as well. Maybe not immediately in the latter scenario, but on a long enough time horizon. As we saw in 2008, Gold topped, but then it had that huge rally into like 2012.
I don't think they go into deflation. They will fight it as much as possible.
I think so too. I don't think austerity can really be practiced at this point because it's so politically unfavorable.
Yeah. I don't think the US debt Ponzi ends anytime soon because, again, as I said, they just found a new way to kick the can down the road. That's through stablecoins. The US is going to be a big winner from this. They'll export the stablecoin dollars all around the world. People will be using mainly dollar stablecoins, and the stablecoin issuers will be buying US government debt, which is going to create lots of demand and bring the yield down, which is going to bring down the cost for the government to run.
What are you looking at, Louis?
Well, looking at Zora here, I know I mentioned it on Friday stream. Said I was a buyer down in this area. You guys cooked up some bearish fractals. But we're seeing a nice bounce here.
What I do best.
Yeah. So
he's a
apparently,
fractal chud. Don't worry about it. Okay.
I don't know if you guys have seen this, but apparently there's like this whole base convention going on right now. Apparently they're teasing a potential base token.
I did see that headline this morning.
So that's very interesting. Not sure how that's going to play out. They're saying they have no definite plans.
Louis can retire off that airdrop.
I will say if they do end up airdropping a base token, I will be a very happy boy. I use base a lot, but you're seeing stuff related to base in a way, kind of make some moves here. Zora, obviously being a larger one, seeing some nice price reaction out of this area. Looking good, right? Looking good. I mean, who knows if it's going to stick here, right? It's just a kind of a big pop. Probably needs a little more time, but I really do like this area. I think this could be a big winner. And I like the discount you're getting in this area off the high, 60% discount off the high after showing strength, so.
What does the momentum look like on that?
What, like throw some moving averages on?
Like RSI.
Oh, RSI. The relative strength. Curling back up here on the daily, which is good. You get back above the 50. I'd like to see that, so we might be getting that here. But looks pretty reset, big rally. Big rally in RSI has been cooling off. Looks to be rounding out here. And, if you see RSI back above the 50 level, this start, curling, it's going to be good. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, so we're still yellow. We flipped red once, and now we're flipping back yellow. So I like that. Kind of like here, right? Green, yellow, bang. Right, so, yeah. Very interesting. I'm really interested to see how, that base kind of thing plays out. I didn't think they were going to do it. I really didn't think they were going to launch a token. But it's a great incentive to bring people on chain, right? Talk is cheap. Money talks,
man.
Money talks, man.
That is the best way to bring people to your platform, is to make them rich off your token.
Yep.
Hyperliquid's a great example of that, in my opinion. I mean, people farmed it because they knew an airdrop was coming, and now they're staying because that airdrop made them, a lot of money. And I think
his name was Tommy.
Oh, I think they're going to airdrop again, which is why I've continued to use the platform even after. But that's just my gut. Giving people free money is the easiest way to inspire loyalty at the end of the day, right? In crypto.
It is.
It is. It is.
Louis, talk to me about this ETH structure, brother.
Yeah. again, I think we're just reaccumulating here in between our all-time high. Let me put on the 2-day here, and our 4K range highs that we broke out of recently. So, this makes a lot of sense in here. But I think we're going to continue to compress. I think we're going to continue to get tighter and tighter. And I think ultimately we're going to see an explosion out of here. But in the meantime, maybe we see a little more scammery on the local time frame. But this looks like a pressure cooker in the making here. Between a rock and a hard place, it's going to explode one way or the other. And as an analyst, I'm betting on the trend. So that is to the upside. So, yeah.
Well, I think it is destiny, right? I think it's a sort of a destiny, fate, inevitability, whatever you want to characterize it as, that ETH does blast through that previous cycle all-time high and goes into price discovery. I think really the only question on the table is like, do we get some? I think this morning on the pre-market call with our Discord, I think Jackus maybe referred to it as just like a bull market, pre-bull market shakeout or something like ETH. And that's obviously possible. It shouldn't surprise anybody to hear that. Like, it's very common to see these big shakeouts as we get towards the end of a range before a vol expansion. So that is possible. It's just it's so hard to get a good read on like the local structure here. Unless you're a Euro scalper who's making 100 R per trade, then it's super easy. But like for everybody else, it's it's like it could kind of go either way here. Like I see right now we have demand below us locally, right? Like 4,400 ish. Nice structure like what we popped off of, right? So in theory, like you should expect that level to hold. Yeah. I would say if you lose that level, though, we probably open the door to a much bigger flush, Yeah. But it hasn't happened yet. It's usually not a great idea to like short into support, but I guess sometimes it does work.
What do you mean, Max? It's exactly where you can set up a $100 trade.
Tommy, I'm going to send you a discount code to the BB Academy. I have a great segment on that. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. You definitely shouldn't be shorting after like a big Monday move right into support. Like even if it keeps dumping, it's just a low probability trade.
So shorting a Monday drop.
You should do it after it drops 10% more.
and short.
And make sure if you did miss the last few percent, you up the leverage.
So shorting the Monday drop 48 hours before FOMC into support is not a good idea. You guys don't know how to Euro scalp.
I mean, you can look at last Monday, right? It did end up going lower, right? But Monday, like weekend drop into a Monday drop, and then late shorters just got absolutely rinsed here, pretty much erasing the whole Monday move before eventually. And that's why I always say, if you're going to be shorting, wait for a pop first. Don't try to catch a ride on a move that's already happened, coming into market structure, like Max said. So pretty much breaking out, flipping this level into support here, or at least trying. We're seeing a little bit of buying come in here. Pretty much backfilled most of the liquidity on this move up on Friday, maybe a little left behind here, but not much. It makes sense to see a move back up, probably backfill a lot of this inefficient Sunday night, Monday morning drop, and then see, right? So they're going to do this, probably take us into FOMC, maybe do this a little more, and then we see what happens. But a bounce here locally makes sense across the board. But I would like to see this level hold. Worst comes to worst in here, maybe we revisit down into here. Because, we just looked at the QQQ. QQQ just broke out of a very, very similar structure. All right. We saw gold break out of a similar ascending triangle type structure. We saw the QQQs just recently breaking out of a structure looking like this. These are bullish continuation, right? These are bullish continuation patterns. Price gets really compressed and coiled up here towards the apex, which is like the ending of the structure. And, these are continuation patterns, right? And I like the look of it. Obviously, like we said, there's always a chance where they could kind of maybe run these lows, maybe come into this low here, right, before doing it. That would kind of be more or less like a false breakdown, right, of this structure, which happens a lot trading these kind of ascending pennants. You get like a move down, looks like it's going to kind of break down further. You get bought back up super quickly, you get back in the structure and you go. And this is kind of like your bear trap, or, you know, like in the textbooks, they call it a false move or a false breakdown. That happens a lot too. But ultimately, I think this ends higher, right? Whatever they do in between, have at it. I don't really care, right? Other than like some leverage trades that I have running, that's going to be a little frustrating. But other than that, like nothing that happens here locally will affect my, you know, my long-term bags. So just kind of sitting patiently and waiting.
I'm just really excited for ETH to finally go into price discovery. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a really, really, really long time.
Are you not excited for the cycle top?
I'm excited for that too.
You'll never pump again. I saw that you learned.
So
I saw some more cycle top calls this morning, by the way.
good.
I don't want to say any
Cycle top-
names, but kind of a
Top's
usual
not in
suspect.
until no one's calling cycle top. So the more they keep doing that, the more likely we have more to go. Bitcoin here locally didn't do much over the weekend, right? Kind of just stalled out. And you saw just altcoins kind of bleed because of that. And that's kind of another reason why I think Bitcoin's going to lead out of this pullback. I think Bitcoin's going to lead. Maybe we see a bounce out of Bitcoin dominance that ultimately rolls over. But I think it'd be healthy to see Bitcoin lead out of this, in my opinion. Still didn't run this high though, which tells me that they're likely saving this either for later or soon. You know, pretty obvious high here that was left untapped. So either we're going to come down into here maybe and then come for this later, or this is kind of just a trap. We're going to run this and then see what happens when we get up here. But I am still waiting for this high to get run and then see. But, you know, we can do this first. Throw back, you know, break out of the structure, throw back, flip it, and then go. And that, you know, that's why they saved it for later. So we can see that going into FOMC, you know, slow bleed down into this area, like 113. That wouldn't be surprising to me. Maybe even a little lower. But I think we're looking constructive on the lower time frame for sure.
That
Definitely
is a nasty, nasty chart, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pain in that little snippet you have, Louis.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's a lot of chop. That's how bottoms are though, sadly.
Snap.
Snap.
I think it's just that Pepe's face with like the screaming open mouth that just makes me laugh so hard on that meme, Jackass.
It's just what's going on.
I mean, daily looks pretty clean though. Daily chart looks very clean, you know. Obviously, we talked about this level being a big resistance supply level, right? The 117, 116 area, right? Tons and tons of supply. If you want to pull up your volume thingamajiggy, right? You're going to see massive volume in this area. Why? Because this is where all the market structure is. This is where all the business is being done. And it's massive resistance till proven otherwise, right? So this is now our second underside test. We've had one here. We rejected. We're coming up for a second time. I like that we've made it back for a second test. And likely, you know, on this rejection here, I'm expecting a higher low, right? Of some sort, continuing pressure against this supply level, popping it. And then Bitcoin leads a strong face-ripping rally to the upside, leading the market before handing the ball back over to ETH and altcoins. And I think this is the leg for Bitcoin that really sends this market into that kind of mania frenzy that we've been waiting for. I think it's coming.
I think 117, 118 is that level you got to break. And it's one of those things, I think, when I was texting with Max and Tucker about it last week, like 118K would kind of, if we're going to take that level, it kind of reminds me of when we were trading at like the low 90s back in April and May, when everybody wanted to short that bearish retest. We consolidated there for a second, and then obviously we ripped to new highs right after. That to me, if we started to consolidate bullishly around like 118, would be kind of a similar level. We should definitely talk about the two strongest coins in the market right now, though. I know majors are a little bit indecisive, except for Solana, which has obviously been ripping over the last few weeks. We should talk about pump and hype.
I will say I've never seen people more excited about like a 2 or 3x than the recent pump move. People are getting and here's the thing, like great trade. And actually the chart does look really good. It's just people are acting like it just pulled like 100x,
Yeah.
And it's just kind of funny, I'm like, like it's cool, like it looks really good. And I actually am bullish on their streaming. I've talked to you a bit about it, Tommy. I think they're trying to really work on like a rebrand where they're really leaning into like you said earlier, Tommy, like the easiest way to get people to your platform is make them rich. They are making people rich right now. And they have a lot of money. They have a lot of money in their war chest. So it's a bit early to tell if it's going to stick, obviously, but there is a perfect storm of they are aligning their incentives finally with like the community's incentives, which is like 90, all the stats, 99.9% of traders on Pump Fund lose money. Now they're kind of rebranding into like we're going to compete with,
it's 99.98.
Yeah, now we're going to rebrand to be like Kick or Twitch or whatever, and we're going to basically just pay creators a ton of money. So like I'm pretty bullish on that. Like if it ends up sticking, like I think it's going to be huge. There's definitely going to be a saturation point, and a lot of people that are just grifting off of it like anything. But I don't know. The chart looks good. They have a ton of money. I'm bullish on like their attempt at shifting their direction. I don't see anybody talking shit about Pump Fund anymore, man. Everybody's like, oh, this streaming might be here to stay. So we'll see, man. I don't know. We'll see. If they can successfully stick the landing on that kind of redirection or rebrand, I think it's probably going to be a big cooker for sure.
Oh wait, go for it, Jackus.
I gotta say, I finally must have a good following list since I haven't seen any drama surrounding Pump at all, which is good.
It's not really drama. It's actually more praise from what I've seen. Like there's definitely people that are skeptical and for good reason. But a lot of these, like the streaming is certainly picking up over there, which I think is a bullish direction, where in the previous 6 months, it's like, mostly it was just people grifting, launching coins, which they're arguably like grifting, launching coins now, but at least there's some content and substance and narrative behind it if the streaming sticks. So I haven't seen a lot of negativity around it. I've seen people showing some skepticism for sure. Like,
No,
I wonder.
I didn't even mean like skepticism. I meant like in general. I haven't seen even people like being excited about it. I just didn't see it, fortunately.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen like that much. I've definitely seen like a bit of it though. It seems like more on my For You page, which I try to stay off of as much as I can, because usually there's someone getting beheaded or something like that. But
yeah.
Yeah,
I suppose that's the reason, because I tried and I X so many times like switches that for me. Like I always have to click following instead of for you, and then I open it up next day and it's again, for you instead of following, so I have to switch it again. But purposely, of course, but they do it. But yeah, I
They're
suppose
like, oh, it's nice, sun is shining, gonna have some coffee, breakfast, check in, and political outrage, someone got murdered. Here's a video of it, Thank
Yeah,
you,
World
X. Thank you
World
for
War
the
III
algorithm.
starting, man.
last week absolutely fried my algorithm. I don't know if it'll ever recover.
I've been on my following page ever since. I have not gone back to For You yet.
Definitely ignore the For You page right now is what I would say.
It's bad, bro. It's so bad.
It really is.
It's so bad.
On the topic of pump, I kind of feel like Louis kind of actually drew out a very rough sketch of kind of what I think is going to happen. I think we're probably close to a local top on it. Carve out a range, likely move higher in Q4. It kind of reminds me of the Coinbase chart, actually.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I kind of think it just put in that huge move that Coinbase put in before it began to consolidate for a pretty long period of time. But I mean, it's clearly playing out in a much shorter window. So I don't expect a pump to consolidate for, what has it been for Coinbase? Like 18 months?
I mean,
I think it will move quicker.
It's IPO.
I mean, I think it really just depends, like, what happens over Q4. Like, could see a cool off into the end of Q3, but the whole market's going to heat up in Q4, and like they're kind of going viral right now. Probably doesn't consolidate for that long.
Well, they definitely have. I mean, they kind of benefit from the same thing that Hyperliquid benefits from, where it's the kind of the best asset to own during downside, which is kind of hilarious because, it basically did nothing but go straight down for like 3 or 4 straight weeks, earlier this year. But when you have so many buybacks on your token, like you do create a bit of a float, obviously. And we've seen with Hyperliquid, maybe upside was a bit muted now that we've entered price discovery. We're just kind of grinding up still. We'll see how it resolves. But I think the plunge protection per se on tokens like Hyperliquid and probably now Pump as well is going to make them good assets to own during downside.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you guys think about the refocus of Pump to trying to compete with these streaming platforms rather than just kind of be like a shitcoin casino, which I mean, it more or less is at its core, but what do you guys think about it in general? Do you think it's going to stick for a bit? Do you think they can actually stick the landing on it?
Every streamer is a token, right? Is that what it is? Like every streamer is a token?
Yeah, so there's like a token attached to the stream or whatever. And then the streamer doesn't have to buy or sell it, but like they make money off of the transaction fees. It's basically almost like a ref link kind of, but it's like a token.
Yeah. It's the same concept as Zora pretty much, where it's social media. It's a little different, right? But it's like social media posting, pictures, video, content, music, and anything you post is technically tradable or buyable on the platform, and the creators make money off people buying their stuff and trading it and all that stuff. And that, I think it's an interesting concept. Like I played around with the Zora website, just like posted a few things, like whatever I posted on Twitter, like my charts, just posting it on there. And like, I made a couple bucks, right? Like nothing crazy, right? But you see people posting on there, making money for their content. Whereas normally you don't really get that unless you're a large account, like on something like YouTube or wherever, or X, where you turn on subscribers or do this and that. This is like, could be a new economy for content posting, which is very, very popular and relevant in our day and age, especially for the younger generations as well. They live online, right? As we kind of do too now, working here, right? So it's the same concept. And I think it's very interesting. That's kind of why I've been liking Zora here. It's just, I like the concept. Does it last? Does it stick? I don't know, right? I don't know. But the fact that it's a cool concept. It's working. They're still adding. They're still, people are making money. It's also heavily backed by Coinbase, right? So that plunge protection per se, like Tommy said, where you have a big kind of whale or a company or entity kind of backing it, I think always helps when you're looking to for something to buy. So yeah, very similar concept. So I see a lot of these companies are going in this direction, just like monetizing content online. But the Soul Bros won't admit that Base was doing it first, obviously.
I think as far as like the topic of competing with other streaming platforms, it is, on one hand, a much more direct way of, or like a much more, I guess it gives you more agency. Maybe that's not the right word, but like you have a little bit more control over. Shit, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. Like, money can find a creator much more easily on Pump Fun than it can on most of these other platforms that are for streaming, and in the sense that like you kind of have to build up a reputation on these other streams, whereas you can print much more quickly on Pump. The one thing that I do think it could run into, though, which we kind of see pretty consistently for, I would say, a lot of these social apps, these social tokens, is that they're very much based on the attention economy. So to an extent, you can have that success, but you kind of have to almost like keep outdoing yourself to maintain that attention, or else it's going to move somewhere else. It's kind of just the nature of like the soul trenches in general. I think about Semi-Pro with Jackie Moon, and how like every week, the thing that he would do to try and get crowds into the building got like increasingly more.
It's a wrestle a bear.
Yeah, so eventually you're going to be fighting a bear on stream. That's
I fight a bear on stream every day. His name is Bear Lax. Okay?
Yeah. Fair.
So I think it'll probably front load creator earnings to an extent, but after that, to scale it's going to be harder because attention just shifts so quickly.
But here's the thing about Pump that I will say is it's very clear to me that there is going to be it's very clear to me that there's going to be a major push for creator compensation. YouTube doesn't pay you shit. X doesn't pay you shit. Like from my own perspective, we've been on YouTube for 3 years. We've never even had ads on this show because we wouldn't make any money off of it and we don't want to annoy people. So we rely on just like, people give us some super chats and stuff like that. Like an idea to like actually get compensated somehow for having a daily show that hasn't been monetized in 3 years. And YouTube, I'm pretty sure, hides crypto content. Like we don't pick up any new followers from YouTube. Like they all come from X, like nobody ever finds our shit. So I'm like, it has me thinking where I'm like, either these platforms need to create a way for people that post consistent content, high quality content, to get compensated, or you're going to see just a rush over to something like Pump. And you're going to have like this mania phase where everybody and their grandma moves over there. OnlyFans girls are going to start having streams and it's going to be called a scam, but then it's going to settle down and you're going to have like actual content creators over there making a ton of money, posting consistent good content, right? So you're going to have that cesspool that always happens. But I'm like, I have a feeling that Kick and Twitch and like all these other platforms are probably looking at Pump right now going, oh shit, like, are these guys a threat suddenly? Like I think they're probably having that discussion.
Oh yeah, this is a direct attack at their market share, those companies. So they're going to be forced to change and pivot as well because they've been getting away with it for a long time. Where this is kind of putting some power back in the hands of the creators versus the tech overlords, as you guys like to call them.
But see, let me address this. So yes, I'm very curious about the narrative because I don't think this is a friend tech type of thing that's going to fizzle out. Because I don't think streaming is only going up. Like more people are going to be interested in streaming. Everybody wants to be a creator. Like very bullish on streaming. Okay, very bearish on creator incentives, right? Very, very bearish on it. Creators, it's like the top 1% of 1% get paid everything. Everybody else gets breadcrumbs, if that, right?
Yeah.
So then you're forced to, like for us on our show, right? Like we don't get paid anything from these platforms. We like literally nothing. Like they don't even gift us YouTube Premium. Like I have to watch ads on my own video. Or we don't have ads on, but you know what I mean? Like if I go watch like a Grant Horvat golf video on the BB account, I'm looking at ads and we have a daily show, right? So I'm just looking at it and I'm like, it's pretty clear that streaming is only going to become bigger. And it's also very clear to me that streamers, I have a stream, right? I technically am a streamer. We don't get paid shit from these platforms. And I'm like, now there's a crypto native platform that was in the past pretty damn scammy, had a bad reputation, trying their best to push a major rebrand right now, where they're now going down the transformation route of we're just here to launch coins and grift to, okay, we made our bag. Now let's help you guys make your bag. And we're not going to compete against like other shit coin casinos. We're basically just going to create a hub for content creators, which is super bullish in my opinion, if they actually stick the landing on it. So I actually think it has a chance to stick, right? And I'm looking at it very carefully going, there might be a day when you see us on there, if I'm being honest. I don't know if that day is here yet, but our content gets hidden on YouTube. It does not get pushed on X because we talk about crypto. We don't get paid anything from it. We haven't had a monetized stream in 3 years, and I see that there's an early stage shift into content creators being able to very easily monetize and push their content. And I honestly think that some of these other big streaming platforms are probably looking at Pump going, this is going to be a problem for us because we don't pay our creators anything.
Yep.
So
100%.
I don't know. I'm interested, right? Like I'm very curious. Like I think worst case, it just kind of fizzles out in like 3 to 6 months after a major saturation point. I think best case, you get that saturation point, but then you get serious creators over there, like big time streamers making a lot more money, and it gives the community a way to much more natively support these creators, right? So I don't know. I'm very curious about it, right? I don't know if I'm like 100% confident in it yet, but like I'm very interested. Like I went from a Pump hater to like I see what they're trying to do and I think it might just work, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm intrigued at at this concept. Something I've been looking at for a little bit. Definitely intrigued. And see where it takes the space. But yeah, definitely a threat to the big boys. That's kind of taking advantage.
And whether it's Pump or something like Zora or something else, it's like there's going to be better ways. Dude, think about like the NBA or something like that. All right. Just think about like a professional sports organization. Think about how much more money these players are now earning relative to what like the franchise owner actually makes. Typically, like a franchise owner doesn't make that much money from their team unless they like win, the NBA championship or the Super Bowl. Like at best, it's a multi-deca-billionaire that owns a huge team. The valuation of it goes up, but it doesn't cash flow for them. And then you have guys like Anthony Edwards on the Timberwolves, 20-some-year-old kid, 22-year-old kid, whatever he is, making, $50-60 million a year on the court, then off the court, probably double it, right? Like, I think there's going to be that same kind of shift with content creation. Like, you're seeing some content creators, like the big boys, they make 50 or 100 million bucks a year right now. But you're going to start to see those smaller creators monetize way more easily. And I think some of like what these creators get paid in like the next few years, it's going to become normal for like a small account to be making $1 million a year streaming somehow, and I don't know exactly where. Maybe it's Pump, maybe it's somewhere else, but I don't know. There's a shift happening. There's something happening. Like, I mean, Jackus, think about like your profile on X, man. Like you probably don't get paid shit from X, It's like It's a
Guess.
scam, man. You've got 150,000
Yes.
followers. You provide a ton of content. You probably make what, maybe a couple $100 a month in ad rev or something like that on a good one.
$50.
Yeah, it's criminal, bro. Like it's pathetic, you know. Something is changing there. Like that will change eventually. So I don't know. I'm very curious. Not to go on like a total diatribe about this, but I'm very curious. And I think what Pump is doing is interesting if they stick the landing. So
Well, I haven't noticed that before, I gotta be honest, because I saw that it's still the platform to just launch shitcoins that everybody just rocks and scams their, surroundings before.
hey,
But,
it still is. Don't get me wrong. They still do that too. But I think they're slowly moving away into something more serious. So
and like all of that culture, just I want to stay away from, because it's just horrible, what some of the people over there do. But like for example, the latest launch of all the Kirk, clones, coins. But yeah, regarding the streaming and or like social media revenue, or like content creator revenue, I would say, or content creator share on revenue, that's definitely something that's needed, and it's always been. And I saw that when X first introduced it, I was like, oh yeah, if you guys actually remember, Avalanche launched something similar. How was it called back in the day?
Stars Arena.
yes.
Oh yeah, Stars Arena.
Yeah.
I was very excited about that at first. Unfortunately, that died out. Then X came up with this, share of revenue, and I was like, all right, finally. And then still nothing because they pay you literal peanuts.
Really nothing.
And then, yeah, it's still a product that's needed, but no one has delivered it yet.
Yep. I don't know. I'm interested. They've piqued my curiosity, not from like a money grab perspective, but almost like I mean, like part of it's about the money, right? Like that's how they get you in the door, but it's like they're trying to create a solution to something that I do view as a problem, So I don't know. We'll see who figures it out first.
Speaking of Avalanche, is AVAX pumping?
Avalanche? Really?
It's kind of pumping. Not really.
It's down 2%.
I wouldn't say that's
Oh,
actually
okay.
doesn't look terrible.
It's like gold.
That actually looks pretty good. I think it might just do the euthanasia roller coaster.
Oh, these lines. Guess I was charting this back then. Good times. Yeah, I mean,
it probably is just like going to play out what Polygon did.
This is going to pump. I mean, altcoins are based. A lot of them look like this, man. It's just they're basing, ready to put in giga moves higher, right?
I have one question. When rebrand? All of these alt, projects have been rebranding, and lately, EOS nearly got me. They had us in the first half, not gonna lie, because they relaunched as a USDT Volta, but it's an EOS.
All right, we're talking about AVAX. That has to be the end of the show, Tommy.
Yeah, I think so.
FTM relaunched as Sonic, right?
Polygon is Pole.
Yeah, exactly.
At least be creative about it. Sonic was at least, I thought, a little bit creative with the rebrand. Andre is a master at generating exit liquidity, but that's beside the point, guys. We hope you enjoyed the stream today. We cooked for about almost an hour and a half today, so we hope we have set your week off on the right foot. A reminder that Market Check is live Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we typically start these streams around 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you enjoyed the stream today, hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And yeah, we'll see you on Wednesday. Of course, also make sure to tune in for Market Talk hosted by the legendary King Wabi. That is a pretty much a daily X Spaces hosted through Wabi's account, as well as the Because Bitcoin account on X. So make sure to stay following and subscribe to both of those so you can be notified not just when we schedule those streams ahead of time, but also when we go live. Of course, we have just launched some killer new products as well. If you are, looking for a bit more signal in the market, first of which being the Volume Fusion Pro Discord, caught a really nice trade on Sol last week. I think it was about a 12 to 13% move on Sol. So, if you are having like a hard time trading this chop, we do have, a product that is actively beating the market right now. So all you have to do is just find the link to the Discord, guys, whether that be in the description of this YouTube video on X, and then sign up for Blofin using our referral link. Do some volume, you'll get access to those trading strategies and maybe more in the future. But again, I never want to reveal what we're cooking on in the background. Of course, if you're looking for something to potentially give you signal for on-chain markets, we also have just launched our brand new BB Degen page on the BB terminal. So check that out as well, guys. Much better product than Dex Screener. Just check it out. Check it out. I promise you'll find some utility out of it. I mean, there's a lot of features that distinguish it from other products that you've actively been using. So make sure to check that out. But thank you guys for tuning in today. We will be back for another episode on Wednesday, like I said. FOMC day, man. I guess a lot could happen before then, but we'll see what we get from this market. Thanks again, as always, for tuning in, though, guys. And as always, stay safe.
Tired of outdated trading tools, confused charts, dozens of tabs, endless stress? You're not alone. Introducing BB Terminal, your all-in-one command center for crypto trading. Track your portfolio, monitor the markets, stay ahead, all in one place. From chaos to clarity, from struggle to success. BB Terminal.